Hello, this is Teresa Shockley. I am here at LACO, and we are going to be sharing with you the information that we presented at the Mentor Forum on Monday, March 12th, 2018. So thank you for reviewing, and I hope that you find it useful and helpful as we go along. I am sharing my screen with you right now, and what you will be looking at is let me find it. What you're going to be looking at is the PowerPoint of the presentation that we made, and you will be able to access the PowerPoint in addition to being able to access the tools that we used throughout the course of the program. So the URLs for those links will be made available in the PowerPoint. They'll also be made separately for you to be able to look and open up on your own in a completely different browser window as we go through this training. The outcomes for today's meeting is we want to reflect on your own goals and growth over the 17-18 school year. We're going to be talking about mentor quality, induction standards, and what makes a good mentor. Mentors will also review the purpose for the continuum of teacher practice, the work that your candidate does, and the process for the post-co-assessments. To do that, or the purpose for that, is that we'll be looking at candidate competency and evidence of teacher growth, candidate growth. Then I'm going to be sharing with you the preliminary accreditation findings, and we're also going to be talking about the nuts and bolts, just wrapping up the end of the meeting. Okay, so we'll be continuing with this on, and you may now either go to your PowerPoint and listen as we go and advance the slides on your own, or you can follow along with us. Just remember that you're not going to be able to click on the screen that I'm sharing with you because that's my screen. And anything you want to do, you'll have to open it up to, you'll have to go to it or open it up in another browser window. We started the day with a connecting activity, and you're going to be able to participate in part of this, and I'm hoping that you will do it and you'll go and see what we're doing because it involves your own reflections. The purpose we did this first activity was to be able to allow the participants to connect with each other. And in this way, you will sort of virtually be connecting with what they were doing and what they were saying the day that we were meeting here together. The first thing we did was that we went to a brainstorm, and we used the tiny URL here to access the Padlet brainstorm. And what it looked like was this. The mentors went here, and what they did is they put down their name, and then they wrote what their goal was from their ILP that they had at the very beginning of the school year. And so in this way, they were able to share with each other what those goals were. So if you want to take a minute right now, you will have to put this URL in a different browser window to access it. And then when you go to it, it will open up, and it should look like this. And you can double click on the screen anywhere, and another little window will open up. Oops, maybe not. Let's go down here to the bottom, and there will be, now there's another little window. You click on the background. There's a title, you put your name there, and then write down what your goal was. So like this was Veronica, and she said, my goal is to listen more actively and let them do more of the talking and not be so instructive. So she wanted to grow as a facilitator right there. So that was her goal. So why don't you take a minute right now and add your goal to that window, to that brainstorm. Okay, the next thing we want to look at is the continuum of mentoring practice. So using the continuum of mentoring practice, which looks like this. I'm scrolling up, continuum of mentoring practice. You're going to open it up in another browser window. And what we'd like you to do is find your focus element that you identified on your mentor ILP, and then reflect on the evidence of your practice based on what you did this year with your mentee. And then once you've done that, I want you to think about selecting your current stage of mentoring practice. Where do you think you are as far as mentor development? Are you emerging, exploring? Are you applying? Are you integrating and innovating? So those are the things I want you to think about and find your element. Remember, this is the standard, then the element. Think about what you did this year as a mentor with your mentee and your mentoring practice, and where would that fall here developmentally? Because that leads us to the mentor standards and mentor quality. We think about what it makes a good mentor, and so, and what makes you a good mentor, what makes you a better mentor. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to take a minute and I want you to read the 8 qualities of a good mentor. If you take this tiny URL and put it in another browser window, you should be able to open it up and it'll bring you to an article that's very short. So please take a minute to do that and to read that. Think about yourself, but then also look at the mentor standards. That the tiny URL is right here. This is what you're going to get to, is you're going to go to the mentor standards placemat. So you can look at, they're also right here, but they are over here also. So what we want you to do is to look at this and see, are there any themes that go along with the continuum of mentoring practice, the mentor standards placemat, and the 8 qualities of what makes a good mentor. Stop and think, are there any recurring themes that you see? What pops out at you when you think about yourself, and then apply it to where you're at with your induction responsibilities as a mentor, and where you're at and your goals, and what has occurred over the course of this year? And how does this all relate to you? The reason we're looking at it and thinking about it is because as a program, we're required and mandated to evaluate mentors. This is Standard 6 from the Induction Standards, and this is the program's mandated responsibility as part of our accreditation. It is the program must regularly assess the quality of services provided by mentors to candidates using criteria that includes candidate feedback, the quality and perceived effectiveness of support provided to candidates in implementing their ILP. Induction program leaders must provide formative feedback to mentors on their work, including establishment of collaborative relationships. So when you think about it, think about all those things that this induction standard talks about. The quality of services provided by the mentors, and looking at how do we know what they're doing, the quality and perceived effectiveness, thinking about the induction candidate's ILP, and then how do we let you know what's going on with the mentors and the mentees and the relationships there. What are your collaborative relationships? What do they look like with you, that the work that you do with your teacher and the work that you do with each other? Currently, the way we evaluate mentors is we evaluate you based on candidate surveys, the mentor ILP and self-reflection. We look at the mentor logs, and we look at the attendance at trainings and forums. So the candidate surveys give us feedback on, do they think you were a good match? Are you making progress? Are you meeting regularly? Those sorts of things. We can we can what do I want to say? We can make sure that you're doing, or how we look at the mentor logs, we look at the mentor ILP, we look at your own self-reflections, and then we also look at attendance at trainings and forums. We do not provide feedback to you individually, usually, unless there's an issue or a problem. Right now we have 511 people in our program, and we have 200 and some mentors. So being able to provide one-to-one feedback is very, very difficult. What we try to do is it's logistically cumbersome. So what we try to do is provide feedback to you generally at mentor forums. We talk to you about the data and what the data is saying and what the teachers are saying. If there's an issue or a concern, we contact you individually. that's about it. So no news is good news. However, I do want to let you know that if we contact you and we are asking you, tell me more about your relationship with this person, usually it's maybe because the teachers voiced concern, but also sometimes we're just information gathering. If a teacher voices concerns, we'll always ask you, what's the scoop with this teacher? And sometimes the teacher's just extremely needy. Sometimes it's a personality conflict, or sometimes it's a different philosophical perspective, you know. And sometimes it's just what you're providing isn't exactly what that teacher's needing or thinks they need at the time. And that's what I'm talking about, a needy teacher. So a lot of times what we'll do is we'll call you and we'll say, so what's the scoop? We'll listen to you, and then we'll talk to the teacher. We'll try to see, can you work it out? Can you come to consensus on anything? And if not, then a lot of times we'll either reassign a mentor, or frequently Robert or Sarah or myself will step in and take over the mentoring for that teacher. And sometimes, most of the time, there's relief on both ends, because if the teacher's not happy, odds are the mentor's not happy, you know. And sometimes the mentor will come to us and say, you know what, this teacher's being oppositional, this teacher's being resistant, this teacher's not showing up, this teacher's, you know, whatever. And so in that case, sometimes the mentors come to us and want a reassignment also. So just know that we wouldn't have hired you if we didn't have confidence in you. If we talk to you about anything, it's usually fact-finding and trying to figure things out. And sometimes there's misunderstandings on both sides, or sometimes if a mentor came on late, did not get good training, which is partly on us. So then we need to say, oh, well, this is kind of how we're expecting it to be done, and this is what we're telling the teacher. So those are the things that we talk to you about if we give you a call. Just wanted you to know that we're doing it as part of our responsibility as a program, not that we're trying to catch anybody or ding anybody or do anything wrong that way. We just want our program to be represented well. We want you to have a good experience, and we want the teachers to have a good experience. So, and if you think about it, any job that you've ever held, any position you've ever held, there's always been goal setting and evaluations. And basically the mentor position's a job, you know, even though it's done for a lot of reasons. Mostly people want to give back. They believe in the profession. They enjoy working with new teachers. They like seeing the growth. Sometimes people are retired. They still like to stay connected. Everybody has different reasons for doing it. And most of those reasons are altruistic. Very, very rarely are they just mercenary, because those mentors don't last. Okay, so we want all of it to be a positive experience for everybody involved. And we also want to be able to meet our obligation as an accredited program. Okay, and that also, though, that takes us to candidate competency and program responsibility. So within the induction standards, we also have to prove not only that we're hiring, training, and evaluating mentors, we have to prove or show that we are assessing candidate progress towards mastery of the CSTPs. And this is what is to support the recommendation for the Clear Credential. The documentation of candidate progress must reflect the learning and professional growth goals indicated within the individualized learning plan and evidence of the candidate's successful completion of the activities outlined on the ILP. So there's a reason why we ask you to set a SMART goal, think about an inquiry question, look at which standard lens you're looking through, and talk about the tools and activities that the teacher is going to be doing, and to document that using the tools and having the teacher save those things in a repository such as Canvas. Part of that documentation is the co-assessment on the continuum of teacher practice. So the CSTP co-assessments are recorded on the ILP, because you're saying which tool you're working, not which tool, but which element you're working on, which CSTP, and where did you assess yourself, along with your mentor, and where did that fall? And then what are you doing to grow in that area? So these co-assessments show and document the growth, because you'll do a pre, or the one that you do at the beginning of each module, and then you'll do a post, the one at the very end of the school year. So modules 3 for year 1 teachers and module 6 for year 2 teachers both have those post co-assessments in them, and they're intended to be done at the very end of the school year. So the directions to do that are included in the mentor canvas, and they include the purpose for doing it and the method and the directions for doing that. So if you're a new teacher with us, a new mentor with us, and haven't done this before, the directions are right there. Also, what I did is I did it with my mentee. Her name's Emily. She's teaching 2nd grade at a Catholic school. And what I did was I recorded a Zoom meeting with her. And we did our post co-assessment there. There's a link right here for you to access it. And I'm going to let you do that yourself because it doesn't come up well here in this Zoom webinar meeting. So you have the URL right there. You can go in your own separate browser and you'll be able to upload that and look at it. And I wanted just to preempt a concern is that I typed in March 18th and then the date that I had it down was the 13th. So I went back and fixed that afterwards, but I did not change it for the purpose of the recording. I didn't go back and re-record it, you know. So, but I wanted you to be able to see just the modeling of how we do that. This woman I work with, I meet with her frequently, once a week. I meet with her once a week. We do it virtually. I go out about once a month and I've done, 2 triads. I've done 2 observations. I went out for her open house. So even though we do it virtually, we're very well connected. And I know her classroom, the students know me. So it's kind of been a really fun experience. But I do find the Zoom meetings to be very productive and helpful. And actually they help me stay on track. I don't get so sidetracked using them. But I wanted to use this as a model for that for you. So if you're not sure how it rolls, this is an opportunity for you to be able to look at it and see and think, how would you do it? But this is the model that we're looking for. Okay, so moving on to accreditation and being able to share with you. As most of you know, we had our accreditation site visit a couple of weeks ago. We had over 375 people coming to be interviewed over the course of the 3 days. We have a number of programs here, not just our induction credentialing program. We have an administrator clear credentialing program. We have an intern program. We have career technical ed here. We have added authorization programs here. Those are all credentialing programs. They're all under one accreditation or one credentialing umbrella. So they're all being accredited at the same time. Because there's commonalities, they all have mentors, they all have administrators, the mentors and the teachers have administrators, they have employers, there's different coordinators involved in the different programs. Some of the programs have faculty who work with them. So we had all these people coming and going through our doors. So even if you were not one of the people who came in to be interviewed, what the product was and the response was basically, a lot of it was, how is your work perceived by the people that you work with whom you work, the candidates, the site administrators, the district contact liaisons, assistant superintendents, all those people see the work that you do. And so what questions they were asked reflected, how well is that going? How is the program being delivered? How do the mentors, because you are the ones delivering our program. And so take a second and read the feedback that we got on the left-hand side of this slide and give yourselves a great big pat on the back because you guys were awesome. The feedback was very, very positive. The team report, the consensus was that after review of the institutional report, supporting documentation, the completion of interviews with candidates, graduates, intern teachers, faculty, employers, and supervising practitioners, the team determined that all program standards are met. So we are being recommended for complete accreditation. So that's very, very good, and we thank you very much for the hard work that you do, because the report was a reflection largely of the work that you're doing. So thank you very much. Okay, nuts and bolts. Wrapping this up, Nuts and bolts, we talk about Mentor University credits. We offer University credits for year 1 mentors and year 2 mentors through Brandman University and the University of San Diego. We only allow units for year 1 work where you're doing a lot of your onboarding, your initial training. All those hours pay off because you get more units that first year than the second year. Your second year, you're just kind of moving along, rolling along, and you get the mentor forums, you get support from us, but basically you're in the field doing your work. And you're allowed to get units for that year, but you can't reapply for units every single year, just year 1 and year 2 only. The process is that you request a transcript from LACO and then follow the directions in the Canvas on how to submit it. And through Brandman, it's one procedure. Through the University of San Diego, it's another procedure. So you'll be able to get that information there. The teachers right now, though, this is kind of a more difficult conversation, is some teachers will be getting March 15th letters, and that meaning they're non-reelected or they're being RIF'd, reduction in force. So if teachers receive a March 15th letter, they still need to finish strong. Many teachers get depressed and upset and frustrated and hurt, angry, all those feelings that they'll be, so take a box of Kleenex in with you when you go to that meeting and have that conversation, but support them and remind them that they're still getting paid for the job that they're doing and that they're under contract for now. So they need to go into school the next day and act like, it's business as usual. If those teachers are getting March 15th letters, also talk to them and remind them that they're going to be wanting to ask their administrators for letters of recommendation. They could start looking on EdJoin. Places will be hiring and putting out feelers for their staffing for next year to start looking now and to go there and just to finish the year strong. As far as induction goes, there will be a grade report in Canvas with a completion document that's embedded in that if they finish the year. If they do not finish the year, they will not get that completion document. If they finish the year strong, they get that completion document, and they're a year 1 teacher, they'll be able to take that to another program and roll it over into theirs and start as a year 2 teacher, provided that all of their financial obligations to LACO have been made. They can do that. If they are a year 2 teacher, they will be getting, and they complete the school year, we will make the recommendation for them, and they should be able to have their clear credential as they go applying for new positions. So just be supportive, help them through with it. If you need to have any questions or other support, give us a call. TLCs, 2 and 5, the end of the year ones, we'll outline the end of the year procedures for the candidates. We'll talk to them about that then also. And year 2, we'll talk about how to finish the end of the program and do their credential applications and how that process works and what we do and what they do. Year 1 teachers will have information provided to them at TLC 2 about their enrollment for the next year. So it's kind of just what we're doing at those TLCs. Mentors don't need to be there. There's not professional development going on very much, just a little reflection, but mostly it's just for the candidates and their informational meetings. For you, your end of the year stuff comes with your mentor forum, Saturday, May 19th. That'll be here at LACO. It'll start at 9 o'clock. We'll be done at 12 o'clock. And we will be then talking to you about any program changes that we're aware of already, that we're anticipating for next year. We'll go over a calendar and new mentor trainings and the things that we want to wrap up the year with and to help prepare you to be able to start next year strong also. So thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to finish this webinar. If you have any other questions, please feel free to give me a call or send me an email. Thank you very much. Have a good rest of your weekend.